all. We're going to shoot some eyes here real quick, and then I'm going to get to some of your questions and see if I can knock some of this out even more here. So let's do that. Let's proceed, and we'll go over the eyes and finish that up, and then we'll get on and talk some goodies here. Excuse me for a minute. Okay. You ready, Teddy?
Oh yeah, we didn't open up with him.
Yeah, you didn't open up with Teddy. Well, he's overseeing. He's the overseer. The silent ones, as they say. Those spiritual beings you never see, but are always there. Only sent left eye. That's a right eye. That's a right eye, not a left eye that I can see. That doesn't look like a right eye at all. That comes around with a bow form over here, so this is pretty much...
Are you sure it's not left?
Well, look. See this? I mean, it might be, but that's more... This is a left eye. Let me show you. See the difference between... There's a left eye.
Oh, yeah.
See here?
Yeah.
See here? That's how you tell.
Right.
Also, Jensen was talking about, look at this bow ring that goes around here. There'll be more space between here than here. This one doesn't show that, though. But that's how he used to tell eyes as well. All right, so let's look at this eye. This eye is, let me see here. They have helped me. Thank you so much. This is a 23-year-old.
See?
Yeah, but whoever wrote that wrote wrong. That's the problem with that. A standard Western, she's a vegan, or he, and mostly raw for about 4 years now. I'm currently on a juice fast and on a feast and on day 6. Fantastic. I would be massively thankful if you could take a look at my eye pictures. These are the best quality I could achieve with my camera. Thank you. This is Trish, YouTube user, Raw Trish. Go, Raw Trish. Well, sweetheart, this looks like your left eye. If I'm wrong, I apologize. It could be the right, though.
I think it's left.
I mean, you think it's the left?
Only because look at the bottom right there.
Okay.
Bottom corner.
Okay,
left.
right here.
Left. Yeah.
Yeah.
See that? That's
all
right
right, so let's say this is her left eye. Now, what color we got here? We got blue, right? Now, what's all this orange color?
Sulfur.
That's cat eye. Sulfur. Exactly. Sweet Trish, look at all this sulfur, honey. And then this is in your bowel wall here, real thick here. This is the lymph system here. Hard to tell with this. See how this is a reflection, so it's really hard to see here your pituitary area and part of your transverse bowel. But you can see there's this lacuna going up here just above that. So there's a weakness in the brain that's a little on the other side of pituitary, so that wouldn't be pituitary. Now this is going up into the cerebellum. We talk a lot about the cerebellum here. You even see some darkness in the bowel area here, but this is the cerebellum. This is your dizzy equilibrium center. We talk a lot about this. Here's your left ear, your mastoid, and your cerebellum. So these are enough issues here to have some problems. You have some nerve rings here. Not many, which is good. These rings, you just have a few little ones. This comes out of this weakness. And that weakness you see right there, that dark little line there is called a lacuna. This dark line there is your adrenal glands. And then here's your kidneys saturated with lymph. You don't have so much weakness in your kidneys as you have heavy lymph. Now, you've probably had this a lot of years because this orange looks like it's moving toward the outside of the eye, meaning toward the lymph nodes, meaning your body lymphatically is trying to move this out ever so slowly. But with the adrenals and the kidneys, you're not filtering well, and therefore your blue eye is turned greenish, orangish, yellowish. And you get all this cleaned out and you'll get your blue eye back. This is a scurf rim, a skin ring, so it shows weakness in the skin here.
Very dark.
Yeah, very dark.
Very.
But you tend to look for thyroid when you see too much of a skin ring. You tend to want to look at the thyroid because the thyroid makes you sweat, controls body temperature. And you have a little bit of thyroid here. Can't tell if you have any pituitary that could influence this thyroid. Tad bit of thyroid here. Not bad though. A little bit of throat here. This is a little bit of mid-back, moving down the back here toward the lower back. And then we get into the bladder here with a lot of lymph going on in the bladder. Matter of fact, This also could be the uterus and vaginal wall, and the bladder be right there. We'd have to map these out. Now notice here that the distance between the pupil and the outer rim is closer than the distance from this side to this outer rim. Take that in consideration when you're coming down 6 o'clock. You're going to come down a little on a slant on 6 o'clock. Can you see how that's kind of slanted, that line there? Because the pupil's being pulled to the right. So you've got this slant. Keep that in mind when you're analyzing your eyes, is that when the pupil's pulled, you have to take that into that slant look, and you see it right in there, a little bit of a slant look to the fibers. And just take that in consideration. This is the upper femur, a little bit of a knee, but you got your adrenals and kidneys, you got your vaginal wall and uterus, a lot of lymph going on here, not filtering through this kidney. This uterine vaginal area filters through the kidney here. It's not happening as well. And then there's spatterings of weakness in the lower back area. These are small bowel weaknesses, little pockets or diverticulums or pockets of impactions. You need to clean them out. Left breast. So you got a weakness over here in the left breast, but there's a little bitty thin line around that tissue right there, and that's the lymph system. So the lymph system, this can create fibrocystic breasts. This in time could obviously form a tumor or something if you're not already involved with that. Chest wall is a little weak too. All these little bitty weaknesses here, they're not very deep, but they're a chest wall. This is the left chest wall, obviously, then. So you really need to head after this. This whole heaviness around the pupil is the GI tract. And if you notice that when you look at eyes, it tends to make the top very heavy too. And I've always said, if you really want to be successful at cleaning up the brain, you've got to clean up the GI tract along with the adrenals and kidneys. Now you're at all the eliminative organs appropriate for elimination. And of course, the skin must be included in this. Must be included in this effort. So to drain the sinuses, notice you're not as involved lymphatically here as you are in the head. That's because of this heavy bowel area. And we've always said this transverse bowel sits right on top of the pupil and doesn't allow this head to clean. So we always have to clean the bowels to get up in the head for sinuses. And she's got to fix this little upper circumbrain nerve. Obviously, you want to get this up, the cerebellum fixed up here, or equilibrium, dizzy, vertigo, nausea, all kinds of things comes out of this center. This is where the parasympathetic is hooked into, going to the stomach, going to the autonomic. That side of it. Only have the one eye, dear. Sorry. Now, this has got to be a female. Look at those eyelashes. Woohoo! Pretty eyelashes. Dr. Morris, thank you, sweetheart, for your... this is Jess, though. So, thank you so much. And thank you so much, sweetheart. I'm a 28-year-old female. I have had chronic fatigue syndrome for 6 years. So look at this. There's 28-year-olds, you know, and we see this constantly. The 20-year-olds, the teenagers, no energy, fatigue. Weak adrenals, kidneys, the lymph. It's a standard that's almost like standard issue now. Mm-hmm. Here you go. Here's your weak kidneys. Here's your weak adrenals. Here's your, you know.
Absolutely.
Yep. I first started feeling ill in my first year at medical school, so I had to leave. Probably a good thing, sweetheart. No offense to medical students. Although, I'll say that I just love good surgeons. You know, I think surgery is incredible. There's no negativity there except for bad surgeons that do things they shouldn't do, like tying stomachs around a little baby's aorta or esophagus so they don't throw up. I mean, that kind of surgery is criminal. But good surgeons, boy, they can really do something else. And, of course, emergency work, but not healthcare. Healthcare, they're killers. Mm-hmm. You just have to face reality here. First started feeling ill. Again, I realized after listening to you, perhaps that was blessing in disguise. Like, I'm so exhausted. Yeah, become a good healer, Jess. It's in your blood. You obviously want to help others and heal others, and this is going to be your best bet. And you can really start helping people find their remedies for once. I'm so exhausted I cannot do anything. I've had to move back home and I sleep most of the day. Is there any chance you could have a look at my... Absolutely, sweetheart. You're a legend. Thanks, Jess. All right, sweetheart. Just from the bottom of my heart, too, honey. Well, look, sweetheart, you got blue eyes. No question about it. Now, all this, you got the orange, so you got some sulfur going on. No offense, Jess, this is a real dirty eye, meaning inside of your body, your sewer system's real backed up, sweetheart. There's your adrenal gland. This is the right eye. So here's your adrenal gland right there. That's chronic. That's why you have very little energy, but you also have a lot of sulfur here. That means candida, or at least a fungal involvement. You'll see moles growing on your skin sometimes, but this is heavy involvement. This is a sugar sucker. So they're sucking down your vital energy. Your adrenals are low here. Now, you don't have any nerve rings, so I like that. So some of this could be parasitic, sweetheart. So by detoxing the body, of course, you get up in this brain, get this bowels cleaned up here, but all this white, yellow look here, all this thick stuff that's sitting on top of the fibers is your lymph system. And that lymph system is where all the acids are, of course. And this is what your eye needs to look like. And the same thing with the lady before you. This is the lady before you. And you notice you're seeing a lot of similarities here. Look at the two similarities here with the sulfurs and the colors of what happens to blue eyes. And both of these eyes should look like this.
Amazing, isn't
it amazing difference? But as you start to clean, but you can see why I referred to it as a dirty eye. Not the person, the eye here. She's got chemicals in there that she probably didn't even know that's creating heavy candida. Gastric distress can come in years later. It's all in the gut area, so it can create bloating and gas and all kinds of problems there. When we're looking at, for you to just tuning in here, a healthy eye is made up like a wagon wheel. We have a hub, which is the pupil you see out of, goes back to the retina. Then you've got all these fibers here, partly involved in the rods and cones. And all this is all tied to the optic nerve and through the eye. But this surgeon discovered, again, a good surgeon discovered that these fibers hold the answers to the cells. And what the cells look like. Now, this surgeon, here's his first chart. Here's his first iris chart. He was from Hungary, I believe, and this is his first iris chart. This is Dr. Jensen's iris chart. And this is an iris chart from Germany, which I really like because it really helps to look at the eyes real simplistically. So you see that out in these fibers that we were talking about, they found all the organs and glands. You notice the head's on the top, just like it is on the body. Your gut is in the center, which just like it is in the body. And then radiating out of this gut is all your organs and glands. And most of these came out of this tissue. This GI tract tissue. And this GI tract tissue is the embryonic tail. When you look at an embryo, you've got a head and a little trunk to it as it grows toward the fetus. And that little embryo, that little trunk, that little tadpole tail is the spinal column and gut tissue. And organs and glands start coming out of this gut tissue. That's why this is so important to clean up, because of the relationship of all these organs and glands to the gut itself, because it came out of that. So there's this symbiotic relationship to all tissues in the body. And of course, this brain sits there neurologically looking and communicating and receiving messages from every parts unknown. And then you have your lymph nodes and your blood vessels around the outer rim. And the very outer rim is the skin, just like it wraps around your own body right here. And you can see the back, and depending which eye you're looking at. So that's what we're looking at. We're going down through here and looking at what we all have to deal with. these areas here, defined areas, are areas of weaknesses. This is your groin, sweetheart, and your appendix. And your appendix isn't really happy here. With all this sulfur, it's kind of suppressing lymph in that. It's even in the stomach area. It can irritate. But again, groin, hip is involved here as well. A lot of inflammation in the hip here. We get up in here in the gallbladder, and we just really need to clean your lymph system. And here is something that I haven't talked much about, but it's concernful to me. And if you'll see this, there's a black little area right here. There's another one right here. Here's another little one right here. These are concernful in that these are in the lymph nodes. And that is suggestive to me that those lymph nodes are deteriorated a little bit. That's just suggestive to me. It's not in iridology, but this is out in the lymph node bed, and we are fighting lymphatic problems. And this shows that these lymph nodes aren't very happy at the very least, and they need to be filtering. So very important to deal with this. This is the breast area, the right breast area. I don't like how that looks either. A lot of lymph stagnation in there. If you have fibrocystic breasts, you're going to tear this up, sweetheart, and get this cleaned out of here before this becomes a tumor or something. It's already starting to break down a little tissue, what it looks like. Now, here's the lower lobe of your right lung. You just need to clean that out and clean. Sometimes get on the lungs in the 3-lung T, because there's a little bronchial trunk. And this is the bronchial trunk feeding into that lower lobe. The bronchial trunk is weak in that lower area, and the lung is. So do that deep abdominal breathing. Bring oxygen down into these lower lobes. Here's a little swelling in the upper mid-lobe, lymphatically speaking. A bit of an ear weakness here. And then we're moving into your cerebellum a little bit. This is all kidneys down in here. Got to get your kidneys fixed up vaginally. You've got a lot of lymph going on here, so you have to be careful with atypical cells and things like this, because all this lymph is acidic. And this can spawn a lot of vaginal infections, yeast infections they call them, things like this. Getting into the lower back, coccyx here. On the left side, and we also see the skin. See, this is all the skin weakness. You're into subcutaneous tissues. You're into the lymph nodes here, and very important that we keep our lymph nodes. More skin. See how that dark skin ring's called a scurf rim. Right here is the throat area. So you have some throat stress. You can see that in the sclera with the red blood vessels. So you have a little weakness in the throat area. And when we come up here to the thyroid, here's your thyroid weakness right here. So throat and thyroid. When you detoxify, this could create a sore throat. Remember, everywhere you're weak, you can feel it. Here's mid-back, so here's a good mid-back weakness. You're probably going to feel that during detox. And don't get upset, sweetheart. Just got to fix itself and repair itself. Here's your kidney standing out there pretty much on its own there. Pretty weak. Right there, left kidney. So you got to get those kidneys. Remember, we're seeing kidneys almost every time. Here's your groin on this side, the left side. Little hip on this side. Tad bit of ovarian weakness. These are lymph nodes. Okay. So you really got to honk on your lymph, clean up your bowel, see all that orange stuff, a little bit of malabsorption, not bad, but clean up that lymph, get the GI broom, clean up that bowel area, do a lymphatic capsule and then say a lymphatic 4 liquid or something. In time, use a skin formula too, get your thyroid up, use a glandular or a thyroid herbs, and get yourself sweating here and open up this skin. And you'll be good there, Trish. Thanks so much, sweetheart. We love you too, dear. Now, what do we got? We got we've got one more. We got one more, and then we'll go to see the questions and stuff. This was a little darker. You can see how important it is to have a lot of light in your eye, because this is exceedingly difficult to read compared to, say, something like this. That's why I like my camera. It's so nice. Jensen really knew how to put some cameras together. Well, a lot of reflection here. Hard to see down in here. So sometimes these dark areas appear worse than they are when you have a picture like this. And so you have to take that in consideration. That's why having the best lidded picture you can with as appropriate of the armature set proper color as you can get. You want as close to the proper color of your eye and clarity so I can see into these fibers. A lot of reflection here, so there was a window in the back or something reflecting off, but it's enough to say that this guy's got, or who is this here? Oh, Lelaine, let's see, I am finally sending in eyes, not the greatest pics. Well, it's good there, sweetheart. We'll see how we do here. This is stomach and colon. There's a real chronic stomach and bowel area here. The transverse bowel is prolapsed down. You've got interstitial lymphatic constipation. The stomach has been burnt here. As far as I can tell, remember, this is just what I'm seeing in these eyes. I have to take consideration that they're not clear enough and that they'll probably look deeper than what they are. Hopefully. Right? Yeah. So, at this level, though, I can say there is some involvement, sweetheart, with your stomach and bowel area. No question right here. This is right eye, so what we have here is your throat. You got some throat going on here, so sore throats are in your future. Upper neck here, we get into little mid back here, and then we get into your lower back. We pull right here. Here's your kidneys. A lot of lymph. See how that lymph surrounds the kidneys, that white surrounding that? That's your lymph system not doing well. I just talked to a man that's fighting the polycystic kidney syndrome. Just a new name for cysts or tumors popping out all over, wherever it is. Poly means many. And when you're not moving lymph, it's a systemic problem. You're going to pop tumors, whether you even know it or not. Leg, this is upper femur, maybe a little knee going on. I'm swinging back up here because that looks like gallbladder to me, and probably right arm, right elbow. And there's the gallbladder, liver. Need to clean that up a little bit. This is the mid-lobe of the right lung area. If I can get up in here and see a little bit, this is a little in the ear, maybe in the cerebellum. Hard to see when I start getting up in here. Enough to say that stomach and bowel is a big priority here in this case. Really dark, suggestive of some burns there from hydrochloric acid or something. But at the same time, keep in mind that the pictures aren't light enough, and it could be not as bad as we're talking about here. Just keep that in mind. Don't freak. Okay. Can you do? Okay. Again, we have more evidence. You see a great amount. And I'm going to say that I'm going to automatically go to the parathyroid gland, Drew. And why? Because we're seeing a lot of this sort of thing. She's either had bowel removals or she's got some serious prolapsing or spastic bowels. You see how that just chops off to nothing right here, and then it comes back up here? Mm-hmm. This is the transverse bowel. And I don't know if you can get this in here.
Sure.
But your transverse colon, your colon goes from here. Here's the cecum and the appendix. And then you come up the cecum. Here's the ileocecal valve where your small bowel dumps into your colon, your large bowel. And then you go up your the ascending portion across the transverse. There's something going on here in that. She's had something done with her colon. If not, she's got some serious prolapsing, which is possible. And it's possible that this colon can bend over on itself, too, at a lack of strength of connective tissue. Well, I'm going to think parathyroid. I look here, parathyroid. I jump over here, parathyroid. So we want to hit this parathyroid because, yeah, look at this bowel. A lot of lymph going on here, a lot of darkness going on in the stomach area. Again, that bowel doesn't look good any way I look at this. So you really got to spend time toning the body with popping up your parathyroid, utilization of calcium, move those lymphs, get all this lymph out of here, restore the stomach and bowels with herbs and diet. Got to restore that because that can be real problems coming. This is up in the brain and the cerebellum. This is the equilibrium center here. Real important that this is tied to the left ear, cerebellum, medulla, mastoid. All needs to be strengthened up here. Shoulder, I think, is involved here, the left shoulder. Typically, when you see the cerebellum, the left shoulder, you will also see a little heart. And that's a little heart lesion right there, or a weakness in the heart. That's a perfect heart weakness right there, a perfect heart lacuna. Jensen showed me this quite a bit because he spent a lot of time correlating this heart weakness with the left shoulder with the cerebellum. And he sees this not every time, But and we've talked about this on this, but this is a case where you see this, and we see this in a lot of the cases where you have these three components together. Don't ask me why. You have the heart, the shoulder, and the cerebellum. Well, from my perspective, it's the lymph backing up all on the left side, and the heart is on that left side. So this is all about this kidney. Look how big that kidney weakness is. Look at how big that left kidney is. That is a very weak kidney. You've got to take care of that kidney, honey. Real important. This is the bladder too, and then we head off into the lower back area here. But this is the bladder, and that even could be the uterus up there. We're not mapping out, but you want to detoxify your body. Get your kidneys and adrenals on. Pay particular attention to the gut area, upper circuit, brain and nerve at some time, and restore some strength up here in cells. Get these sinuses dumped out of here, and you'll be in good shape. All right. That catches us up on the eyes. Okay. This should be enough of a lessons that we put up here for you guys to understand iridology. I think iridology is like anything else. You get your basic academics. You get your basic stuff. Thank you, Drew. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thanks, man. You get your basic academics. You get your basics. And then you start enjoying the science and using it. As you use it, and this is the thing about thinking and the mind. The more you learn to step back from that and in a state of observation, you've already trained the mind on what to do, how to interpret, how to analyze. That's what the mind does. Then you, the viewer, has to step back and view. The mind's already been trained, so view the context of what the mind is putting together for you, knowing that your consciousness is apart from that and yet feeding the mind, because you feed your mind. Without you, you wouldn't have that individual piece of the universal mind. And then you correlate, and that's what I've done through years and years and years of working with eyes. I'm able to correlate and see what I see every time, some of the time. When you see something all the time, you can pretty much stick a fact on that puppy. When you see something once in a while, then there's other contributing factors to that, no question. And so this is part of stepping back and viewing these things. Now, you don't find total knowledge in books. It's good to get your basic academics, no question. But as you take that deeper, you want to make that fit your purpose and your focus. Academics just keep tearing all apart. If you look at someone that goes to med school, they've got quite a curriculum up and apart from medical thinking. So there's a lot that is crammed down people's brains that creates confusion, and there's not overviewing, so you have pieces that have no puzzle to put together. And that's why it's so important that all sciences have that part of them that overviews as much as they can, and then be truthful about what's theory and what's not. We think, maybe. But every one of you can do iridology. It's very simple. Every one of you can learn it. Every one of you can use it on your friends. That's the beauty. This just tears intellectuals up, but this is perfect. You can use it for everyone, everything. It's a beautiful science. It's simple. We should teach it to our children. Let them learn up with it. Then they can watch their own health or their friends. It's just a great little science. God made everything for everybody to enjoy, not just the few. Now, this is a question from my first chance. There you go. Can you give some info on myasthenia gravis in males? I have a friend who got it in his late 20s. What can he do? Herbs and foods to help him. Well, we've been talking all along about this. All about kidneys, thyroids, I don't care what tissues, it doesn't matter what we're talking about, it doesn't matter what syndrome, whether it's Wolff-Parkinson syndrome, it doesn't matter what syndromes that are involved. This is the action that cells take in a mutated state. And so when you go to a cell and you look at how cells are mutated, you have to go and look at the chemistry of life, because chemistry is what all life is infused in at this level. From a higher consciousness, we can say frequencies of electromagnetic energy, no question. But in reality, at the lower levels here, it's chemistry in action and constantly in flux, meaning constantly changing and ionizing and oxidizing and everything else. It's a constant movement of chemistry and life. That's just the way it is. Nothing stands still. And so learn as much as you can about those things, but in reality, keep your life simple, detox, and you'll be happier. You'll be happier. For those that want to tear things up intellectually, go right ahead. Doesn't mean you have to. You can, but just remember that the more you turn on the mind, the more you turn on the ego. And the more you turn on the ego, then you start separating yourself more from everyone else. That's what separates you from everyone else, is your ego, the id, as Mrs. What was her name? Young had said. It was interesting that Miss Young actually wrote a book on the id, probably referring to Carl. Oh, well, you never know. Yeah, I spent a lot of philosophy too, Nietzsche and all that, and you just kind of take a look at everything and just have to pull back sometimes and take a breath from extreme studies and intellectualisms and set everything aside and let everything cool down a bit and get your higher perspective so you can view and understand what you just taught your mind. Can't keep seeing life in pieces and then think you're going to be happy or understand the whole, because there's no way. You can't find the whole from the pieces. And that's the problem that man is, and that's the illusion. And that's what makes the movie good. For those that like that and thrive on intellectualism, nothing wrong with that. But you have to be a guardian at the gate, because the ego will be coming, because you're infusing the mind, which includes the identity of the self as a separate entity from all life, until you get to the universal mind, and then you realize, whoa, wait a minute, we're all one. And it just gets deeper into that sort of consciousness and into life and into God and things like this. The best thing you can do is, instead of trying to figure it all out, is just live in the moment and learn how to work and train your mind, but don't get caught up in thought processes and desire processes. You can, but you have to pay a price. Now, we showed this young man yesterday, and I was reading this email. This is a Bush person, so they can only get contacted by radio. Hopefully a villager can talk to them. But if you can get in person, this is Madagascar. This lady that sent this to Matt is DHHEINZE at Yahoo. Definitely, there's no question that surgery, I think, is essential for that. That's where a good surgeon comes in. If it's impossible to do that, then this child has only one way, and that's our way to detox. Putting a black salve on that would be monstrous. I wouldn't even think about it. So I think surgery is definitely, and this is where a good surgeon could come in here, but pretty invasive stuff here, but take that removed, and then you have to fix this young man's kidneys and stuff, and particularly his left kidney, which you can't just fix one kidney. But this is the lymph system in our children, and this is what's going on. And real sweet little girl here, just sad case. But if the surgeon can get that out and they learn the secrets, which I hear in this email or whatever, that they're doing raw and stuff as much as possible. If they need help with the herbs and stuff, we'll help them. Anything to get this little girl back to a state of wellness. So let me know if anybody gets a hold of these people, and we'll do our very best to help them. Another freaking sad case. Now, this was, I don't know how to accurately pronounce this and be within true pronunciation of this. This is, someone gave this to me as some ancient fossilized material. This is highly bio. Now, I like this when it says biodensity or bioavailable. When you're talking about inert matter, basically, or very elemental level. I mean, nothing's inert, nothing has no awareness to it, but when you're back down to the elements, they're very difficult for the human body to absorb. Elements like calcium and magnesium, very hard for the body to absorb them. It's just they're too low in their consciousness, they're too low in their magnetics. Our bodies are high energetic bodies. So you notice people don't crave dirt very much. I mean, I told you once I had a pregnant lady that craved dirt, but most people do not crave dirt or elementals in that level. Now, we have people that crave salt, which is the adrenals and things like this, but salts are where the plant takes the elementals and then converts them biochemically, and then you have your tissue salts. We do better with the salt level in terms of bioavailability, meaning more available to absorption and utilization. But again, that's why there's digestion, breaking things apart to their most simplest components so the body can absorb them. So man comes along and tries to cram these high elements, these high bioavailable elements like calcium and stuff into the body, and then chelation was developed where they wrap an amino acid then around these minerals. Maybe that'll get into the body. You never try to get into the body what God didn't want to get in. That doesn't make any sense. But going back to these marine animal types and all these past living species that have then become pretty much ionized into rocks. You know, I'm just not a component of that. I've seen people with parathyroid weaknesses and stuff literally stone themselves up, give them extreme arthritis, doing things like this. Remember the shark cartilage days and stuff like that? Well, what happened was it made tumors start growing to the bones. And that wasn't quite what we wanted. We don't want to encapsulate tumors and things like that. That kind of thinking is allopathy. We want the body's lymph systems to start filtering. The body will open these as it closes them. It'll open them and drain them out. So moving your lymph is so important. We have so many people now, it's so frustrating because their lymphs are so chronic. It's frustrating to break these things up. The harder your lymph gets, the more serious the problem. And just don't get upset out there if you wake up and you have hard lymph nodes at the journey you're on to get them down. It's a journey. You know, everybody can say what they want, but it's a journey to be well, and especially those that have serious lymphatic problems, guys. This is why it's so important that we all learn and work together. We don't have time to argue differences. We need to get in and get the bodies cleaned up and rebuilt. And vegetables do not clean. If you're having a hard time with high candida and things, and you have a hard time with the fruits, as we talked about yesterday, back down, go slow. Start the vegetables first, get your herbs, get your detox, get your candida, get your sulfurs out, and keep getting deeper and deeper, adding more fruit until you can tolerate it. Here's another case here where a young man, my son, now here's one from my first chance. My son don't like fruit. He has autism or so, and he's very thin. Is there a reason why he doesn't like fruit? Now, I got to thinking about when you said that, and we've seen that, rarely with the kids though, very, very rarely. But my concern is what you just said about thinness. This would be a suggestive maybe of malabsorption, because there's no reason to be thin on fruits and vegetables. My new grandson is only 9 months, a walking and almost running 9 months, and he's built like a brick you-know-what. And he's been on coconut water, he's been on bananas, and I mean, this dude can have 2 or 3 bananas at one setting. And this guy he's smart as a whip. He opens the door, goes out. I mean, this guy's unreal. And there's no thinness about this dude. So I'm just saying, our weaknesses is generally what we see. And we have to also understand the lymph system and how that is and why that affects that. So this would be a case where you'd want to work on his little kidneys and adrenals, move his lymph system a little bit. So you could do a kidney and a lymphatic one. And you just, with the children, you just use small drops, and it really helps to move them out. And they're growing anyway. But in their growth, if the goodies are coming in and the cleansers and the rebuilders are coming in, that child is going to grow strong, smart, big. He won't have the massive detox that older people sometimes have to go through. So now's a good time. Brain and nerve is very important for this child, because if this is an autistic child, we already know the adrenal glands are involved. We already know the kidneys are then involved. We already know the lymph system's involved, and we're also looking at the the nervous system. Again, we see this with the use of vaccines, any like the thimerosols and neurotoxicities of these things. But anyway, this is where you have to detox this young man. Sounds like this young man's kind of in a little catch-22. He's malabsorbed. His body's craving nutrition, and therefore he's looking for more mineral-based foods. Possible, although you see some very strong children on just fruit. But that's enough to say that do the young man some vegetables then. Follow his inner guidance there. He's 4, so you can right, he's 4. Or he doesn't say how old the young man is. But want to really get him moving toward that level of thinking. At the same time, you can use a few drops of some herbal formulas that really make a huge difference, and you'll pull him out of that as time goes on, and depending on the level you can get his diet. Slower if you can't do fruits, but this young man will work out of it. Here's one. I addressed this yesterday. Young man with 39-year-old male. He's been sick for over 9 years. He's an athlete and everything. And he wrote down here the hypercoagulation. Well, I was thinking about, and I just threw this down and said, I forgot to talk to you about that one. So when you take a look at hypercoagulation, this is the coagulation of the blood. And you have to be careful with platelets and things. When the blood pH moves just a little bit, it can create a major variance changes in blood, in its ability the blood cells' ability to stick together. If you look at blood under a microscope, a lot of times with typically unhealthy people, you will find the red blood cells are sticking together and following each other like a choo-choo train, or worse, the clustering. And this is a problem with blood variances and pHs, but it's also a problem, again, with the diet and the acidosis. We're going to go to the spleen first and look at this. We want to take a look at the spleen and make sure the spleen isn't hyperactive, producing hyperactive platelets. If you have some internal bleeding, or some bleeding through the bowel or something, you could kick up more platelets and you see a little hypercoagulation with that. So I would clean my spleen, I would definitely clean the liver, I would clean my GI tract up, get my kidneys and adrenals on, because this is where you're getting the osteoporosis, all lymphatics. This will bring to do that with the diet, it'll bring the blood pHs just perfectly, so you'll start separating those blood cells, you'll get more enzymatic rich blood, and so everybody is happy and healthy. And these are some of the things as we walk to that. But I just wanted to, sorry my friend, I forgot to address that yesterday for you. I don't know if I addressed this, Monica. This is to Monica on YouTube. She says, how do the glands repair themselves, and how do you know it has happened? Well, that's a good question. We had a lady once that had half of her thyroid cut out, and during a couple of years on this program, it grew back. And you can see those with ultrasounds and all that sort of thing. In terms of the health of the tissue, that's a good question, because we only have the eyes to look at to see the unhealthiness of a cell. Therefore, we have the eyes to look at the healthiness of a cell. Also tie in symptomology. Is your symptoms gone? And a good example of this, diabetes. Can you go out and have a piece of cake and your blood sugar not have more than a 10-point variance? These are the things you want to do. I always gave my diabetics, go out and get your piece of cake. Get a lot of icing on, get a piece of cake. I want to see what your blood sugar does. That's how we work it here. We're all real time, on the job. We want to see how the body works on the job, not in the laboratory, in living and life. And we know when we rebuild. When you have tumors, obviously we know when they're gone, because the medical profession is riding with us. We generally take the medical profession on the ride, at least the clients do, because we don't care. We prefer the medical doctors to ride with us, because we all need to work together. I'm hard on them because they're killing too many people. They need to learn and grow. And after a while, if you don't listen, you got to get smacky. And it's not me, big guy upstairs. Same with me. I don't listen, I'm getting my butt whipped. And it's just that man has to listen. The planet's about to whip some butt here. And we just need to all listen and grow and then love each other, and everything's good. So the glands repair them. tissue automatically repairs. You can't stop nature. You ever have a gardens? And my gardens, I have flowers everywhere and plants, and so I have developed different beds that I mulch and everything for the beauty of it, you know. And you can't keep the weeds out hardly. You can't keep nature down. It just grow, grow, grow. And if anybody's ever worked with the soil, you notice how the earth is growing in diameter. You notice how your earth is expanding and growing. Of course it is. I can pour a sidewalk, a nice sidewalk going around in some pretty gardens, and right on top of the ground. And in a couple of years, the dirt has worked itself up above the sidewalk. So it's just everything. You can't keep things down, dear one, Monica. Your body always seeks, everything always seeks wellness and health. At least when you get away from the aberrations and you get away from, because it can be the other way. Getting on a sad, typical diet on the planet is taking a ride down, a roller coaster downhill. Hello, my name is Danny. Hello, Danny. 9/17/12. My wife's age is 53 and overweight. Announced she just found a lump on breast. I own a juicer from an earlier attempt to juice, so I got it on YouTube. Soon found Dr. Morris. Oh, wow. Thanks, man. Thanks, Daddy. I watched his videos for days on end. For 3 or 4 days, I thought he might be... Oh, I turned 64. Wow. 64 and married a younger woman, did you? Well, that's a good idea. I accumulated 10 or so questions that puzzled me to no end. Dr. Morris made everything so very clear to me. I am so... Oh, thanks. Both of us went 100% raw immediately, fruit mostly. Finally, my question. Been on raw 11 days now, so what detox kit should we buy for breast lump? P.S. My life's goal is now to get to Florida to meet him and shake his hand. Well, let me shake your hand, Danny. Listen, Danny, already addressed what to do. Just wanted to see if you wanted to mention him on you. Oh, I guess I already addressed what to do, Dan. But I tell you again, going back to the breast here, again, here's a bunch of lymph nodes and here's a kidney. Real close, so you're either going to sweat it out or it's going to go to the kidney. When it's going to the kidney, you won't sweat as much. When the kidney's blocked, you'll start sweating profusely under the arms. You'll see a big ring here, and that's because your kidneys aren't doing it, so your skin has to. And if that doesn't, then you start feeling hard and dense and stuff like this. And this is all just lymph backing up, sewage backing up. Fix the adrenals, fix the kidneys. Get the GI tract cleaned up at the same time, Danny, and your wife. Well, you guys will be good. Get that out now, and don't mess around with that with a wife, and you'll be good. Lots of grapes, dark grapes, things like this. So, good man, Danny. Carry it on, and your wife, too. Get this out of you, dear, and you'll be good. And then you'll fix your kidneys and you won't grow any more tumors in you, and you'll be good, good, good. It's worth the effort. Even if it takes 6 months to a year, so what? It's worth the effort. You got a good YouTube channel here. You got Facebook people. You got all these lovely souls tearing it up, getting on raw, getting their health back. It is a breath of fresh air. As I drove away, oh, this is from the class. As I drove away yesterday, I got, oh, okay. Thanks, Tricia. Appreciate that, sweetheart. Appreciate it, honey. A girl came to our class, and I'm glad you had a good time. I hope you make it to level 2. We'll have even more fun in level 2. Animator Dominator. I was recently offered to work in building, repairing cell phones, computers. And I remember kind of reading this before, didn't I? Animator. Computers and electronics. I plan to work in technology field for a while. I would like to know if working in this field will affect my health in a negative way since I will be exposed to radiation. Absolutely. Matter of fact, I just talked to a good airline pilot friend of mine, and he's a client, and he was flying over the poles. And I had no idea of the extreme radiation flying over the poles. So he finally quit doing that. After he got on our health programs, he just stopped flying across the poles. I didn't realize these poor pilots had so much radiation exposure going across the poles. Amazing stuff here. So absolutely. A friend of mine was high up in Social Security computer division, working with artificial intelligence. Believe it or not, this guy was Ace. There's all kinds of gadgets, I guess. You know, I'm not a whiz kid in electronics, obviously. I'm a farm boy. I don't own a computer. There is one at the house I'm at, but it's a laptop. I can get up on and Google me something, but I've had enough radiation and nuclear medicine to last me a lifetime. Thank you very much. And I don't carry my cell phone hardly at all. I'm afraid of radiation. It has a long shelf life, and if you're too acidic, it stays in you, just like everything else. In the acid variances of acid pHs, you have coagulation. And when you have coagulation and everything is holding, that's when you start to burn. And so that's why it's so important to bring base chemistry in, and that's also for radiation. If you're a raw foodist, you should be good. And I would also keep a lot of kelp in my life. I would keep green drinks in my life with radiation. I would do that. And then you should be well with that. And definitely make sure you're out in the sun too. Get out in the sun, open your eyes, and get sunshine. You don't have to look directly at the sun, but allow full spectrum lighting. If you're using sunglasses, throw them away. You are not going to do well with them. You're going to lose your ability to deal with light entirely. Down here, you see these older people with sunglasses literally wrapped all the way around their head. Any light is, it just gets worse. If you haven't noticed, it gets worse and worse and worse. You need full spectrum lighting, even indirect lighting. So if you're working in electronics, please get out and enjoy the sun too. Different type of radiation, but it is full spectrum. And with a raw foodist and the lymph system's cleaned, it'll nurture and repair. But not overdo that either. You know, there's that side of that too. If working in this field bad for my health, is there any natural remedy? Yeah. Anything, your good dark greens like your alfalfas and your kelps and your parsleys and your dandelion greens, absolutely. Keep myself, you can use the radiation exposure and use that once in a while and detox it out of your body. Your diet has a long way to go with whether you're going to hold radiation in or you're going to let it go away and get it out. And that's all variances of pH again, what we've been talking about, the acid and base and things. Obviously, base chemistry is the dominant chemistry. Obviously, it's the healthy side of chemistry, or it wouldn't be the dominant chemistry. And obviously, that side of chemistry is your electrolytes. And those electrolytes create a cationic environment. And that's an environment of disbursement, an environment where solidification starts to break up. And that's the only way you're going to get solidified tumors to break up. If you try to add acids to the mix, could be a real problem. This is, let me see, here's an individual here, Annie E. She first learned about us from Dan, the man, Life Regenerator. And then she went into detoxification. She did all kinds of neat stuff. The biggest event came from the drugs and epidural given to me at the hospital in '98 when I was going into labor. Oh, man, that just freaks me out. Epidurals, oh, my God. Her daughter's now 14. Another event being from a tetanus shot from a snake bite. Oh, my God. I got in 1989, she got snake bit. A lot of bent up emotions let loose to a bet. Woo-hoo, honey. And I haven't even gotten to Dr. Morse's herbs yet. Holy crap. Well, they'll do a lot of buffering for you. That's another good thing about herbs is that they'll help buffer some of these insane healing crises that you would normally have without the herbs. So they are good buffers for that sort of thing. But yeah, I would clean up. I'd also get my blood and clean it up with the blood formula sometime, clean my liver and clean my spleen out too. Since you've got all this toxicity and all these bites and stuff, clean all that out. Get on the brain and nerves sometime, really strengthen up the myelin sheaths of your nervous system. No question, kidneys and adrenals, that'll also reflect to the autonomic, and it'll just kind of pick the body up here. Now, she has some questions here. So, question 1. I was wondering how to get hold of Getting Healthy with Herbal Formulas and the workbook. Yeah, you just call in to the clinic here and they'll fix you up with that. We used to have a really nice practitioner's book for practitioners only, and it was pretty thick, and it really helped. And we were just selling it to the lay people too, but it was I made that to get an in-depth look at the herbs, what they do, what they're for, how to use them, protocols. We are redoing that book. It's not available, but it's going to be much nicer and bigger, and it'll be the protocol book to help you guys understand. If you have a case of a lymphoma, what do you do? But I want you to be able to know here what you do, because keeping it simple is the key to success. We have tough cases. And I'm seeing them more and more in my office, frustrating me, because we're more and more tough cases. And it's just that the lymph systems are getting worse and worse. It's just, it's just what it is. Number 2, I tried to take a picture of my brown eyes so I could determine the specific herbal formulas to take. When I look in the mirror, there is the noticeable darkened ring around the iris for the skin and circulatory system. Okay. Yet when I went outside to take the camera picture in the sunlight, there wasn't any ring, only blue. Oh! Oh! The stomach area was still brown. Oh, sweetheart, my mother told me I was a blue-eyed blonde till I was 2 years old. Should I go by the camera picture or the mirror? I think you better go by the camera picture. Obviously, you have blue eyes, sweetheart, but this is what we're talking about, the brown around the pupil, or orange. Get a magnifying glass and have your husband or someone take a look in there and see if that's orange or brown. Orange is going to be sulfur, of course, and that, brown is chronic. So if it's brown, you were born with some chronic bowels there, GI tract, chronic. That means you want to tear after that part of the body, of course, and really start to move that out. Also, don't be surprised if you stay raw foodist long enough that your hair don't start turning blonde again. Remember I told you about the T-cell lymphoma case where she had salt and pepper hair, and then it went to pepper, black, and then it went from black turning blonde. She said, "My God, I was a blonde when I was born." So I don't know. I can tell you that chemistry changes the nature and texture of things, and obviously the color of things. You see what I'm saying? We don't know what truth really is. So all we can do is touch it and pick it up and say, "Look what I found." Because I'm interested when you find some level of truth. We got to throw this mind ego antagonistic and go, "What'd you find? You found that? That's pretty cool." Because that's what we are. We're on a world of discovery. For anybody to deny fruits, then you need to just take an exit and leave, because fruits are key to this planet. We just need good fruits. We need properly picked fruits. We need properly raised fruits. We need chemicals out of here. So that's the problems, is the food sources, my opinion, not the types of food. Question 3, in 1990, I partially tore my meniscus in the right knee. The doctor told me it could never heal because there's no blood flow going to it. Oh, really? The orthopedic doctor elected to not do any surgery. I had to give up any strenuous activity, which this is true. Horseback riding, that's fun, skiing, etc. Anything that could endanger it tearing all the way. The little carpenter from the other dimension, who I like this lady, started to fix it. But my fear sent him back. See? I love how she sees things. Well, call him back. He'll come back. He likes to come back. Recently, I heard of a Russian doctor who says that this area gets nutrients by diffusion. Now, this is another thing. We talked about fructose and diffusion. A lot of things do happen by diffusion, but diffusion is simply a movement of particles from one solution to another, or from one area to another, but generally you find it from a less dense solution. A more dense solution moves into a less dense solution. It's all about homeostasis, the seeking of balance. When you have a lot of chemistry in one area and none in another area, you see the bleeding, the filtration, the diffusion. You see the seeking of balance everywhere, and that's so inside the body. You can't have cells anywhere, whether it's a meniscus, whether it's in the vertebrae. You can't have any hardened tissue anywhere that has even bone matrix, like calcium, phosphorus, and things, bone matrix. You still have to feed the cells. You still have to eliminate waste. And the proof of that is bone cancer. You can see that. If bones were just matrix, you wouldn't have cancer like that. No, they're cells. 4, if I take any herbal tea I have, yoga, traditional medicine, etc., pulverize the contents of the tea bags with mortar and pestle. Would this get me the same powder that is put in herbal capsules? Yeah. Yeah, yeah. If you got good organic tea bags and stuff, and you can open up that tea bag, you have that. Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully. Number 5, could the sulfur that causes orange in the iris also include the sulfur dioxide used as a preservative in dried apricots? Can't say that for sure. Can't say. I can say that I think I can say that MSM and glucosamine definitely causes it. I've had people that had no sulfur before and then sulfur afterwards. So I believe that one would do it. So good question here. Thanks to you. Thanks, sweetheart. Thanks, Annie, and I hope this is helpful to you. This is Mapar. I think Mespar. I think I talked to you yesterday, my friend, on this. Mespeth. Thank you. Okay. All right. Adrenal surges at night. Let me see. I'm wondering if this is. Let me see. I stopped taking the adrenal glandulars about 3 weeks ago, and I also reduced my dose of herbs. I stopped the herbs completely for about 5 days. The surges are not as strong as they were, but they are still very disruptive. Let me see here. Almost every night I am waking up just about 3 a.m. like clockwork with adrenal surges that go into my legs and brain. Every time I try to fall asleep, I am woken up with the surges, and this continues to 7 a.m. Get the antispasmodic formula and the brain and nerve and take those two. That'll help that neural spasticity there. The passion flower, you can use that. That doesn't stop completely, but that's a good one. You can stop the glandular and shift to the herbal formula and see if that will change that. Could be anything going on there like that. I'm at the point now where I have lost quite a bit of weight. I am 82 pounds, 5 feet. I've been doing mostly fruit, but added in more salads and avocado lately. Good deal. I can be very disciplined with my diet. Right now I am doing a grape fast. After you come out of the grape fast, slow down a little bit. Take a little break from yourself. Add some vegetables, steamed vegetables, and see if that goes away. We don't want to stop detoxing because we want to remove any chemicals that might be initiating this. You never know. You could even have a tumor on the adrenal. Who knows? So whatever we're moving, we're moving. And just keep moving that out, moving that out. Use the antispasmodic for that, and use the brain and nerve to strengthen, and you should be good with that. At the same time, cut out the glandular. Muscle test yourself. Muscle test. Look on the video for muscle testing. Muscle test yourself on these adrenals. If your body doesn't want it, you're going to go weak. Remember the muscle testing. Real important. When you suspect an herb or glandular or something causing a symptom, muscle test you on that. If you muscle test strong, chances are that's not the problem. Chances are toxicity or neurotoxins or anything like that is coming out of the body. Also, there's so much inflammation now in these tissues from acidosis that they're very sensitive to spasms and stuff. There's that side of it too. There's a whole host of little problems like that we can have. So I like your choice with the passion flower to kind of relax down. The antispasmodic will do that same thing, kind of relax you down. You are a client of mine, so call in and let me take a look at your case, and I will see you look at your eyes and see what's going on there. Dr. Morris, what kind of camera takes a good pick of eyes? You know, people are sending me some dang good pictures from all kinds of cameras. I'm really impressed. You really want up close, you got to worry about reflection. That's a big issue. If you have windows behind you or in front of you, get away from that. You want as much light focused on the iris as possible. Even if you made kind of a dark room and you did a flashlight in there, you get the camera as close as you can to where you can get these pictures of this iris as clear as possible. And that the color, everything is up. Watch your camera setting for light exposure so the color is as close as you can get and get as much up close and clear as you can. And those make excellent eye pictures. Good enough. Good enough. We don't have to be rocket scientists here. That's another thing. How good of a relief it is to know you don't have to be a rocket scientist with everything. This is Clary Clinch. Hey, dear one, Dr. Morse. Oh, thanks, my friend. What a breath of fresh air. I love all your videos. Thanks, sweetheart. Well, you look like a light giver, too. It takes a light giver to know a light giver, don't it? And that means all of you guys are light givers. Never put yourself down. Never let anybody think you don't know anything about anything. That's bull hockey. The mind is not you. We don't have to know how to pronounce words this long to be God people, you know, and you really want to be a God person. That's where all the sucre, the joy, the love, intellectualism breeds narcissism and unhappiness and opinions and all the crap that people don't want. That's just baggage that follows you around like bad karma. So you really want to just be in the now as much as possible. Let the supreme energy come through you and help heal you, along with relax. Especially of you that are hard and acidic, relax as much as you can. Get those kidneys and adrenals filtering that lymph, break this loose, and that's all we can do here. That's all we can do. You do the very best. You guys are waking up to what the problem is. This is Kathleen Kelly. Dear Dr. Morris, thank you, sweetheart. You're awesome too, dear. My uric acid levels are high, so I tried to do a juice fast. I got some violent diarrhea. I had to stop after 4 days. I would love to buy something from you, but I can't afford the $150 for the questionnaire. Is there anything you can sell me to help with detox without the... Yeah. I've put all this, Catherine, on this YouTube, so go back and look at the Great Lymphatic System, see what we're recommending for that. The fact that you went into a juice fast and you got diarrhea shows how much GI tract, liver problems that you have going on there. So you want to get into that detoxifying the GI tract, the kidneys and adrenals. So put your money where it's best going. Stomach and bowel. If you're moving your bowels this much, do a number 1. I would do a lymphatic, if you're real tight with money, do a lymphatic 1 liquid. Do a kidney number 1 capsule. I would definitely hit the Candida road because it sounds like you're involved in a lot of this, so get that out of there. Do a Parasite M. And do the endocrine gland formula. That's 5 little formulas, and they're geared right, focusing right down on where you are. I will say this, that if your endocrine gland formula doesn't bring your blood pressure up or your adrenals up, then you're going to go to a glandular. And that's about the best way I can tell you. It's very simple. The more aggressive you want to get, you add 1 more lymphatic formula and 1 more kidney formula. Make sure you have 1 kidney capsule and 1 kidney tincture, 1 lymphatic capsule, 1 lymph node liquid, or 1 lymphatic liquid. And that's more aggressive, and you'll get more done that way. Always the first kit is a deworming program. I highly recommend you try to get the first kit. It gets into your liver, it gets into the bowels, of course, at the endocrine glands. It's a worm killer, and it smooths lymph. So it's a real rounded way to go. If not, find the herbs in teas. Get out there and buy bulk herbs and look what the herbs are in my formulas and make yourself a little tea yourself or encapsulate them. Or you can grind them up and put them in applesauce. There's a lot of ways you can get herbs down, and you don't have to spend a lot of money doing it. The diet is always essential, though, and that you need to spend money anyway. This is a YouTube request. The Ross syndrome. We talked about the Ross syndrome earlier. I've talked about the Ross syndrome here, sweetheart. I hope that you can, Dr. Morse help. She's desperate. Listen, Rebecca, call in here, sweetheart. I've got your number here. I'll turn this over to Drew, and maybe he can contact you and see if you're okay. If not, you call us in here, sweetheart. Rebecca, call Drew or call Jennifer and have her help you there. I've had other symptoms not listed here. I had to have my thyroid removed and a hysterectomy. Whew. Well, the medical professionals, everything's untreatable. They can't cure crap. They can't cure anything. So going to a medical doctor, don't get frustrated. I do, because it's a consciousness they've emanated, which is false and wrong. and a lie. This was some Dee Banner a while back. Hi, it's Desmond again. It's talking about the thyroid here. I think the iodine benefits the hair follicle directly. I was confused in thinking the iodine aided the thyroid increasing hair growth. No, the iodine does. Iodine is what thyroid likes. Iodine. It's just different elements go to different parts of the body and have an effect. It's like, different herbs have different effect on different parts of the body. So does different chemistry. Calcium has specific areas to go to. Copper. All these have different areas. It's the cool thing of the supreme being or God, whoever you want to call the creator. Pretty cool. I mean, it's endless to how everything is fit together, and no human mind and no mind anywhere could comprehend all of it all. It's beyond comprehension. However, I am still curious about your view on this. But I hope that once I clear up this cerebral interstitial lymphatic constipation. Now, cerebral interstitial lymphatic constipation, not fun. Dear, get your bowels cleaned up, because remember, it has to drain down. So get your bowels cleaned up pretty good there too. Get those kidneys open and get that cerebral interstitial lymphatic constipation. You guys got this down good. I love it, love it, love it. And more nutrients. I bet no very few, but I have cerebral interstitial lymphatic constipation. Now, that's a word that long, or it's a few words that long. I can't. I just my nature. I get a little more cantankerous as I get older. I am thinking about, because I've had to put up with these kind of things all my life, and after a while, you just want to breathe some fresh air, look at the beautiful blue water, look at the skies, and see nothing on the other side of it, like you're looking out over eternity. That's what I love. Oral application on the thyroid. I would not put any oral application of iodine on the thyroid, because, again, when you're getting in more elemental issues of iodine, like potassium iodine, stuff like this, you really can create toxicity factors, and not something you want to think about. I'd rather go to the food-based iodine and use a thyroid glandular. And the thyroid glandular does have the potential to get your thyroid to grow back, especially if you're on raw and you're not too weak in that area, genetically speaking. I've seen it. So get up there on that, Desmond, and see how that does. But anytime you lower the thyroid, then that they claim that's what affects hair. Isn't that amazing? Oh, this is Mark and Regina. I think I talked with you guys yesterday, guys. I have heard that you can tell by the iris when someone is on the verge of healing crisis. Now, this is what I read a while back. And this is going to be, I think, the last one I can this morning. I apologize so much I can't get more out there. But this is from Mark and Regina in Canada. And they've heard that you can tell the iris when someone is on the verge of a healing crisis. Now, that sounds to me like German iridology. I was wondering if you could go over what that looks like. Don't know. And also if it is organ specific. For example, seeing healing lines in the heart area indicates that someone is on the verge of a healing crisis pertaining to the heart. No, I don't see that. No, healing lines is just what that is. It's not a verge of a healing crisis. Healing lines means that you're actually rebuilding tissue in that area. The cells are strengthening themselves. And, people don't realize that cells, from a simplistic, non-intellectual viewpoint, cells are strong or weak. Like everything else, the dichotomy of life. So when cells are strong, virals don't attach, magnetics push away, there's no need, cells are strong. Nobody messes with things that are strong, not even nature. Nobody messes. You might have some males trying to get some females and attacking some big bull males, but realistically, the bigger they, you just don't mess with them. And this is the issue here with strong cells. Weaken a cell, and then it's magnetically weak. Things magnetically polarized to it to terminate it. That's nature, and how nature must work with the confines of magnetics and chemistry. It's that simple. So things, as they weaken, change polarization. As things become acidic or base, that polarizes and rechanges magnetics. Everything is changing. It's all about potentials and variances, the zeta potential. It's all about all of this stuff. But you know what? It can all be a mind tease. Fun game for a while. but at the same time, keep it simple because it doesn't matter. Healing is simple and straightforward, and you don't have to get all caught up in all these areas of this. It just really doesn't work that way. So, when you see healing lines marked N and I, that means you're actually rebuilding that tissue. And I see this a lot with the Heal All T in women with atypical cells. Women have pap smears and they take a cell on the vaginal wall, and if it's atypical, then you know. Or they have the human PV virus. All of these things. And you know what? This is all about the strength and weakness of cells. This is all about acids, toxicity, all of these things like this. And so as you begin to remove these things, guess what happens to cells? Those cells that can't be rebuilt are taken to the lymph nodes for termination. Those cells that can be rebuilt are rebuilt on site. That's what they do. And that's just the ongoing of multiplication or the re-strengthening of cell patterns. Just like the one lady asked me, how does tissue rebuild itself? Well, there's a natural growth of cells constantly, as there is grass and dirt and everything else. Everything is always growing and expanding. You can't stop nature. It just can't. A bird will drop a seed. You just can't. Things just are constantly growing and expanding on itself. That's the nature of God, constantly moving. So I don't know. I know, some people might claim that they can see a healing crisis coming. I would not be that good. I would not know that. I've never seen that. I've never heard that from any respected master of this. But we could not know as much as this person knows, whoever told you that. And maybe this person knows how you can tell that. Personally, I think it's bull hockey. Love you, Doc. Thanks. I love you too, man. All right. So let's bull hockey ourselves to lunch. I just bought some oranges. First navels of the season. They don't look too good either, but they sounded good. My navels are almost ready at my house, so it's like, woo-hoo-hoo, might have some navels for lunch. But I love you guys. You take care of yourselves and be well, be strong. Don't take no crap, but give love to everything. We'll see you later. Bye-bye. That was quick. Hello there again. I forgot to add this, and this has been sitting on my desk, and it's just been so overwhelming, but this person really wanted this information quick, and I apologize. Look how this article is written. Real science, slow down, boy. What's that? Real science, real results. Okay, so this is what we have in out there in chemistry. And this is about, this question is, my sister wants my 90-year-old mother, start using this Nurium, something like that, facial cream. It transforms an aged face to a young one, but it is full of chemicals. I didn't write all of them down, but one is oleander, which we were taught was a poison as a child. I was too. But you directed my attention to the other chemicals this has in it. Polymers. Oh my God. This is bad. This is a chemical nightmare. I tell you, if you have wrinkled skin, try fixing your parathyroid, toning your connective tissue, toning your body, cleaning your body, and doing it the right way. Even at 90 years old, she's 90 years old, your grandma's got some, or a mother has got some strong genes. You could take your 90-year-old mother, put her on a health program, and bring her back to a state of wellness. Here, you're liable to drive in and hold in the skin acids, which then can create basal cells, etc., etc., etc. It's got good stuff in it, but it's got horrible stuff in it. Glucosamine. You got your aloes, your oriander, which is I've always told too. You got your collagens, your glycerins, stearic acid. You got your glycerols. You've got some gnarly stuff here. Silicone polymer, you got some interesting stuff. Now I want to address that because even though these come from plants like vitamin C from oranges, it's still an isolate of ascorbic acid. It doesn't matter the source because it's stripped down to just ascorbic acid. So it doesn't matter where it comes from. That's the issue. is that once you start breaking down chemistry, you start isolating it, you lose your original components. You lose your buffers. You lose your friends. You lose everything that synergistically works together. We didn't get there yet. You want to use nice stuff on your skin. Nice creams made out of oils and made out of foods. Real science, real results. You know, that's the problem. Real science. What is real science? Do you know? I'm trying to tell them what real science is. This is interesting. Real science, real results. And this person asked me about the face cream, and it's got polymers. It's got all kinds of stuff. Oh man, this has got a laundry list of a few good things thrown in for snacks.
It's real.
It's real. It's real science. It's a proprietary blend, and it just goes on and on and on. It's got some good things in there for it, but I'm just saying, real science is nature, not real science in a lab in a test tube. But this lady wants her 90-year-old mother to use it for her skin.
It's made for every part of the body.
It's made for, that's Roger, by the way. Made for every part of your body. Yeah. Oh my God. I need a laugh. Anyway, it's a pleasure to be with you. I just wanted to add this onto the other video there, so that person that was thinking about using polymers and stuff like this and on the skin, okay, no way. Use oils and use food-based creams and stuff. But remember, when you start to lose the tone of the skin, you're losing the tone of cells. And when you're losing the tone of cells, you're in an acid issue. And whether you're losing connective tissue, you're losing calcium, it's all lost to acidosis. Your mom's 90 years old. She's got good genes to get 90, so she can rebuild herself at 90 and probably live to 120. It'd sure be worth the try. Yeah! Go! We'll see you later. Next video.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.